Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening, depending on your time zone and depending on when you are watching this. I'm James Innes and this is my YouTube show, The Jobs Guru. It is Wednesday, the 1st of July, 2020, already halfway through most people's working week. I'm delighted to see you all here for today's episode. I extend a very warm welcome to all those who have subscribed since the last episode. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do think about subscribing so that you don't miss out on the next episode. My three shows this week all have a common theme: equality. Discrimination, diversity, division, human rights. Were we not all created equal? I started yesterday with racial discrimination, and I'm moving on today with gender equality, including the concept of equal pay and also the gender pay gap. If you have any questions or comments as you watch, then do please type them into that comment section below. And if you like what you see, then do please hit that YouTube thumbs up. So, gender equality. Possibly less of a minefield than yesterday's topic of racial discrimination. And definitely a topic I do, despite being male myself, actually know a fair bit about, having both written and spoken on this a number of times in the past. I saw a piece on the Sky News website the other day with the headline, "Coronavirus. Lockdown increases the gender wage gap as more women lose their jobs than men." It went on to say, women are also more likely to take on the additional childcare responsibilities and housework, and to report that mothers who were in paid work before lockdown are 47% more likely than fathers to have permanently lost their jobs or quit. And just for the record, this is according to research from the IFS, the Institute for Fiscal Studies. Gender equality is something I feel rather passionate about. Passionate in the sense that I'd like us all to get on and bloody eradicate it. It's like a fly drowning in your beer. It's in nobody's best interest. The gender pay gap has been described as appalling, obscene, absolutely outrageous, and by Theresa May, do you remember her? A burning injustice. But what exactly is it? We hear a lot about it, but it's often misunderstood. Well, for a start, I'm sorry to say that the UK is one of the worst offenders, at least in Europe, with a typical gender pay gap of 18%. To put that in the context of the average pay packet, this means some people are earning an extra 5k a year just for being male. So no, the gender pay gap isn't just about Gary Lineker and Kirsty Walker, or Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper, for that matter. Now, I don't want to send my male viewers off on a guilt trip, but do spare a thought for the ladies. How would you feel if you went to work every day alongside a bunch of women and found out they all earned more than you for doing the exact same job? My guess is that you might be a little bit miffed. But this is a simplification. It may even be a gross simplification, because the gender pay gap is not just about some men being paid more than some women for doing the same work. That, whilst decidedly illegal, is nonetheless a significant factor, yes, but the gender pay gap is a whole lot more complex than that. If anything, the routine flouting of the equal pay for equal work regulations muddy the water, obscuring a much more important issue. Because the gender pay gap is, critically, not just about rates of pay in and of themselves, but about men being significantly overrepresented in the best paid jobs and the accompanying and well-known shortage of women in senior positions. The higher the rank in an organisation, the fewer women there will be. And if the gender pay gap is to be properly addressed, this is definitely the most important and most difficult area to tackle. It's not just about what is fair or unfair. It's about distancing ourselves from the errors of the past, combating sexism in one of its purest and most insidious forms, and promoting vital diversity in the workplace. You need to look at why this problem exists in the first place. It's a very, very complicated matter with deep historical roots. Don't forget that it's only just over 100 years since the first women in the UK were allowed to vote. Only since 1945 in France. We have undoubtedly come a long way. Back in 1970, the UK's gender pay gap was nearly 50%. But there's still a long way to go, and by current forecast, the problem with the gender pay gap is unlikely to be resolved in our lifetimes. The introduction of compulsory gender pay gap reporting is certainly increasing transparency and helping to push things in the right direction. But at present, it barely covers half of UK workers. I think To wrap up this subject, I need to mention the Equality Act of 2010. That doesn't sound very exciting. In fact, it probably sounds rather boring, but the Equality Act of 2010 represents the best piece of anti-discrimination legislation this country has ever seen. In a nutshell, it's designed to combat discrimination in employment on, amongst other things, grounds of gender, and even includes special protections for pregnant women. With a legislation like this now in place, we have come a long way, yes, in the past few decades when it comes to tackling not just gender equality, but all forms of discrimination. But we're still far from eradicating discrimination. That much is obvious. We'll leave it there for today. So now, we're not far from the end of today's show. I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday. Remember, this show is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, pretty much each and every week. Just 2 more things. First, I must squeeze in some routine but important requests. Do please check me out on social media and connect, follow, or otherwise stalk me, but please don't troll me. Nobody likes trolls. Life is too short for trolls. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, about the show in general, or about life, the universe, why babies wake up the second their parents fall asleep, whatever, then do please let me have them in the comment section below. If you like this episode, hit it with the YouTube thumbs up. If you're already giving me a thumbs up, then maybe think about subscribing and also ringing that bell so you don't miss out on the next episode. And if you've already done all of that, then thank you. Finally, what is happening in the next episode? Well, tomorrow I'm going to be continuing with my theme for the week, equality. And this time, I'll be talking about sex and sexual orientation. I do hope you'll tune in. Thank you for watching today. Keep safe and be well, my friends. Goodbye.